Hello everyone, and welcome back to Wicked Reading. Today I will be reading SCP-1704, Finished Business, Object Class, Euclid Newman. SCP-1704 is an approximately 9 meter by 5.5 meter by 3.5 meter structure composed of animate, fully conscious human skeletons, hereby SCP-1704-1. The structure disappears and remanifests at irregular intervals. Each time, the identity, arrangement, and exact number of -1 change. Approximately 240, plus or minus 30, fully intact skeletons compose the bulk of SCP-1704, the remainder being bones and bone fragments along with a cementing material composed primarily of bone dust that holds the structure's shape. Instances of -1 have limited mobility, and provided that their jawbones are intact, vocal communication, despite the lack of any muscles or organs that would be necessary for these activities. Separation of any section of SCP-1704 from the main mass has resulted in the cessation of all anomalous activity from the removed material, including demanifestation. All instances of -1 are capable of communication in at least one language, and those interviewed have been able to provide identities and personal information consistent with a person who has died within the past 60 years. Further, commonalities between all interviewed members of -1 have been identified. The subject was 68 years of age or older at time of death. The subject was a practicing member of an organized religion for at least 30 years and at the subject's time of death. The subject had no history of a drug abuse, sexual activity, or violence outside of what they believed to be prescribed limits of their chosen religion. The subject and their immediate family had no outstanding debts or obligations that were expected to cause significant financial stress at the time of the subject's death. The subject died of natural causes that were not attributable to environmental factors. At time of death, the subject felt contented with their life and had close relationships with all members of its extended family and considered themselves ready to die. Instances of -1 claim to recall events after their death and prior to incorporation into SCP-1704. While the exact imagery and sequence of events varies between subjects, all accounts involve the subject approaching a state which approximated their belief in the afterlife, before being denied access by a hostile entity. This is frequently depicted as an act of envy or revenge. Subjects have identical recollections of being turned into a skeletal state and being deposited in and connected to SCP-1704 while inside an apparently featureless area. Those that have been interviewed on multiple occasions report returning to this area during times which SCP-1704 has demanifested, where other portions of SCP-1704 will be replaced or reorganized. Typically, instances of -1 express feelings of hopelessness, confusion, and doubt, and are often reluctant to communicate with Foundation personnel or other -1. Subjects will often obsess over the details of their life, frequently questioning whether some unidentified unfinished business was responsible for their incorporation into SCP-1704. Members of -1 uniformly report intense physical pain and discomfort, resulting from a combination of high sensitivity to atmospheric conditions, particularly humidity and temperature, highly limited mobility, and the weight of the rest of SCP-1704. Due to this and the aforementioned psychological stress experienced by -1, distress vocalizations are considered normal behavior. Personnel with clearance 4 or higher, including those working on Project Orpheus 30, should consult Doctors Sanmuga Sundaram and Okrolahi for theories regarding the exact nature and origin of SCP-1704. Addendum. SCP-1704 was recovered from a Global Occult Coalition facility in Karlsruhe, Germany in December 2012, along with 3 other items later given special containment procedures and 14 classified as anomalous. The Foundation was alerted to an XN-class interdimensional breach scenario in progress and provided relevant expertise. See Document 792-1704 for details. along with 36 Class D personnel. It was determined that extraction of a number of items, including SCP-1704, from the breach was necessary for full containment. Addendum. 3 instances of -1 have claimed identities consistent with persons who were listed as missing since the recovery of SCP-1704. Review of relevant GOC documents shows that these disappearances are consistent with the known activities and abilities of KTE 4821 Grey Light. See Joint SCP-GOC File 4-261. In light of this, research regarding KTE 4821 Grey Light has been incorporated into Project Orpheus 30, and SCP-1704's documentation is slated for additional updates. Footnotes. 1. That is to say, it ceases to exist in this reality and later resumes its existence. 2. Instances of -1 communicate with voices appropriate for their stated identity. 3. This entity has never been identified by the subjects. Physical descriptions vary, but rarely correlate with any real, fictional, or mythological entity with which the subject is familiar. 4. See documentation on Project Orpheus 30 and Joint SCP-GOC File 4-261 for further information. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-1704 is to be kept in a 15 meter by 15 meter by 6 meter humidity-controlled containment chamber at Site-23's Large Object Wing. All disappearances and remanifestations of SCP-1704 must be recorded, as well as all interactions between personnel and SCP-1704-1. Experimentation with or interaction with SCP-1704 requires permission from Dr. Galuzzo. Additionally, personnel requesting access to SCP-1704 for work related to Project Orpheus 30 must report directly to Liaison Barrett and Site Director Erickson. Ear protection is to be made available to personnel assigned to SCP-1704.